Hello everyone, and how are you guys doing today? I am back with the another episode of What If Luffy ate Pika Pika No Mi, and this is part fourth. I think yes, this is part fourth, and I am really excited to talk about this part because here we finally move on to the new world, and straw hats are ready to set sail after 1 year of time skip. And nothing really major happened during this time skip except some fightings during the time they spent with Rayleigh. They did encounter a pirate called World, and they had to defeat him. Luffy rather easily defeated him, and after finally a year, they finally set sail to the new world. And first they had to go through Fishman Island, and you have to understand one thing about Fishman Island. The arc that was going to happen, like how Hori was going to revolt revolt against Dragon Palace and the king and princess, that is not going to happen right now. But there is one thing that is deeply going to happen. Luffy would pick a fight with Vandecker, and this is going to happen because of Shirahoshi. Luffy is not going to let Shirahoshi spend the rest of her life inside a cage. That's not Luffy's way of living. So he is going to pick a fight with Vandecker, and with his speed and power, it makes no sense for Vandecker to even put a little bit of fight against him, Luffy. So this battle ends really quickly. It ends in an instant. But this also sparked a battle with Hody Jones, because Hody Jones has been collaborating with Vandecker for quite a while, and now that a human defeated his teammate, Hody Jones would definitely fight against Luffy and his crew. But here is a problem, okay? Horizon is still a fishman, and he although he is viewed as a bad guy, at least among fishmen, he is not a human. So they would trust Horizon more than they would trust Luffy and his crew. So Luffy and his crew would not try to fight against Horizons at this moment, because they don't want to fight against entire Fishman Island. And since this island was also under Big Mom Pirates, they had no choice but to decide to leave right now. But here is a fun thing. As they left the Fishman Island, something happened in the Fishman Island. Hori Jones kidnapped the king and the princess, and he decided to execute them. And it was at this moment Luffy and his crew finally returned to Fishman Island, and it turns out they never left. Like, they literally never left. Since Sabaody Archipelago, Nami also realized just how cruel fishmen's life were, at least in the land. So she did not hate fishmen anymore, but because of Kemi and other, she instead started to like them even more. And after they found out the conspiracy that Hody had against the fishman royal family, they decided to reveal Hody's conspiracy. But they could not do it on their own, since most of the fishmen would not believe on them. So what they did was left the fishman island under the eyes of many fishmen, and most people believed that they had already left. But the truth was that they actually did not leave at all. Instead, only went to a certain level of sea and then returned back immediately, because they knew that once they leave, Hody Jones would start his plan immediately. So after they returned, they fought against Hody Jones. And Luffy, as a pirate he did not care about being hero or not. He simply saved royal family, and he kicked Hody's ass like it was a child's play for him. Luffy is pretty overpowered at this moment, so it was not a big deal for him. But just when they were about to defeat Hody Jones, a fishman appeared near them, and because he saw Luffy fighting against Hody Jones and defeating him, he immediately get into the action and started fighting Luffy without even realizing that this person was his brother. And the fishman who was fighting Luffy was none other than Jinbei. And clear thing about this is that the rot in impel down is still happened. Okay, that still happened. Jinbei still escaped with crocodile as well, and even cop and others as well. The only problem was that they did not get involved in the battle. Instead, what they did was they simply left sea that takes them to Marineford with the help of Jinbei. And right now Jinbei had also left the Fishman Island to fight for White Bear Pirates, since they were constantly fighting against Black Bear Pirates. And in that war, remember, White Bear did not die. He was in his deathbed, but he did not actually die. The only person that did die in that battlefield was Ace, and because of this, Whitebeard was constantly in battle against Blackbeard pirates, and Jinbei had gone to help them. And now that he had returned, he saw his own comrades being attacked by another human, and he was enraged. He did not even look into Luffy's identity and he started attacking him. Obviously, Luffy was not going to simply let any fishman attack him, so he retaliated in an instant. But as the battle erupts even more, royal family of Fishman Island finally stepped up and stopped Jinbei from attacking Luffy, and explained that Luffy was helping them against Hody and his pirate crew, and Hody had done so many things that was against Fishman law, and he even killed Fishman King's wife, so he was a criminal. And after understanding that, Jinbei immediately apologized to Luffy, but Luffy did not care about it. He did not even take it as offensive. He was simply looking for Hody because he got distracted by Jinbei, and now Hody was running for his life. Of course, Luffy simply used his light based attack and traveled in front of Hody in a mere instant before kicking him in his head. Finally, Hody landed in front of King of Fishman Island, and Luffy simply let the king do whatever he wanted to do. And after that, the battle ended in the Dragon Palace. Luffy and his crew were having banquet with the king and other fishmen, while Jinbei was explaining how Whitebeard pirates were losing against Blackbeard pirates, and the crew was slowly falling apart. And this time, Whitebeard sent Jinbei back because he did not want Jinbei to fall in this battle, since his safety was more important for the Fishman Island than the Whitebeard pirates. Although Jinbei did not want it to go back that easily, he was still convinced because of the existence of the Fishman Island. So he returned back, and after he told everything to King was a bit troubled by this, because the Fishman Island still needed someone's protection, and knowing the other pirates who would simply just take a lot of treasure for the protection of his island, Fishman King did not wanted their protection. So after thinking for a while, he suddenly remembered a person who wearing a straw hat, and this person was really chilled and also not as bad as other pirates. He also helped them solve Hody Jones pirate crew, which would have been a lot of trouble for them. So he decided to try to get Luffy's flag, and after he revealed everything to Luffy decided to help his new friends, and especially since he had made quite a lot of friendship with Shirahoshi, he decided to help Shirahoshi's father, and he gave his flag to the king. But as he took the Fishman Island under his wings, he also found something troublesome, because just after he had taken Fishman Island under his wings, a pirate from Big Mom crew arrived and demanded that they should join the Big Mom crew, since it belonged to one of the emperor of the sea. But Luffy obviously was not going to let them take Fishman Island so easily. But of course, he's not going to fight this man, because the man who appeared on Fishman Island was Katakuri, and he was the man only under the Big Mom, who was the captain of Big Mom pirates. So he decided to let Joro fight Katakuri, and thinking about how low Joro's bounty was, Katakuri felt insulted for a while and decided to finish this battle in an instant. But as the battle started, his observation haki showed him a powerful attack coming toward him that he needed to dodge at once, and this was such a powerful attack that Katakuri had no choice but to use his future sight to dodge it. And after dodging it, he realized just how powerful Joro was, and just how powerful Luffy could be. After all, this was the man who managed to push down the entire Marineford with his anger. So, after learning about his power, Katakuri started facing him seriously, and the battle between Joro and Katakuri started almost at equal ground, because while Katakuri had powerful observation haki, Joro had powerful armament haki, and this was something he learned during his training with Rayleigh, which was advanced armament, because even before that he had managed to learn armament and master it quite well. So he immediately started using advanced armament to inflict powerful damage on Katakuri, who was able to dodge his attacks thanks to his future sight. But even though he was able to dodge it, remember, armament haki could be released outside his sword. That means even if he dodges it, if the distance between his sword and his body is close, then he would still get hurt. So because of this, Katakuri had no choice but to use his awakening as well, and the battle raged on. It was getting stronger and stronger and more devastating by every second, but it had no end. Like, the battle was not ending at all. It has been over an entire day, but the battle had not ended. It has been 2 days, but the battle had not ended. And it continued for 5 days, but the battle still had not ended. Both were fighting so hard, both were using all of their powers. Joro was using advanced armament and his powerful swords, while Katakuri was using his awakening and future sight. Both were fighting with all of their strength, and remember, both had Conqueror's haki. That means they would not be able to overwhelm with their Conqueror's haki, and they had to fight really seriously. So after 5 days, 7 days of fighting, Joro finally caught up with Katakuri's attacks, because his observation haki did improve during his battles with Katakuri, and this improvement led him to predict Katakuri's prediction. Of course, it was not as ridiculous as it sounds, but it was still enough for him to land a solid blow on Katakuri, and using his Asura nine sword styles, he was able to cut down Katakuri. Not cut down, not killing him, but he was able to defeat Katakuri, and this defeat finally led to Katakuri leaving the Fishman Island empty-handed with injuries on his body. And after he was taken back to Big Mom Pirates, Big Mom called Luffy and Straw Hat Pirates and Big Mom Pirates officially waged an Emperor level war, and this war is going to be devastating for both of them since it was not a normal war. Luffy decided to leave Fishman Island, but at the same time he also invited Jinbei to join his crew since it would not only increase his manpower but also because he liked Jinbei, and others also did not have any kind of rejection toward Jinbei since this man had quite a lot of honor on himself. So they did decide to make him join, although Jinbei was a bit hesitant toward it. The king still supported Luffy's invitation and said that it would be better for the Fishman Island as well, because Luffy was really strong, and if he could take Fishman Island under his wings, Jinbei should definitely serve him since it would help Fishman Island and keep it protected under the ruling of one of the emperor level character. Right now they all believe that Luffy was a emperor level character because commander under him was able to defeat one of the strongest commander under Big Mom, and this is why they believe that Luffy would be able to fight against Big Mom by himself, and they were not wrong exactly, and we will see that later on in the story. For now, Luffy and his crew takes up from Fishman Island, and they did find Punk Hazard. Luffy decided to explore this island, and they did find Law, but they were not chased by Smoker. Everything happened the way it should have been happened, but except for the battles where Luffy found out what Caesar did to other people and those childrens, and he decimated Caesar with a single cockroach coating attack. Yes, he's one of the strongest attack. Cockroach coating attack decimated Caesar into a meat paste, and of course he was not dead. He got absolutely obliterated. Does not mean he's dead. It just means that how devastating that attack was. At least that's how you should understand right now. Anyway, after defeating Caesar and after joining an alliance with Law, who wanted to take down Kaido, they decided to go for it since Luffy's goal was to defeat all four emperors, and having an extra friend was not a bad idea for him. At least that's what he thinks, but Law was a bit hesitant of his own idea because Luffy was much higher in power level than him, and it did not feel good for, at least from him, it did not feel good. So even so, he still decided to join an alliance with Straw Hat Pirates since his goal was to take down Doflamingo and Kaido. So after that, after the alliance was finally official, they decided to set sail toward Dressrosa, where almost everything went the same way it should have been. But there was one big problem. This time they sent two admiral level character, and one was obviously Fujitora and the next one was Kizaru, and both of them were ridiculously powerful for Straw Hat Pirates. Of course there was Doflamingo as well, and this caused quite a bit of conflict between the Straw Hats whether they should take down Doflamingo right now or not. But Luffy decided to take him down right now, and he did. Luffy simply sent Sanji to take down Doflamingo with Law by his side, while he decided to face two admirals with Zoro. His crew helped him take care of other marine fodders, and Zoro and Luffy finally get engaged in battle against admirals, and that was going to be devastating until Fujitora decided to stop because his observation haki was quite strong and he could sense the emotion of people in the island, and there was a lot of chaos going on, so he decided to stop the chaos instead of fighting against Luffy. And as he went to fight, stop the chaos, Kizaru obviously was not able to fight against one emperor and one commander level character by himself, so he also backed down. And they freely set sail after defeating Doflamingo and exposing the truth of the country Dressrosa, and they finally went to Hokage Island. Yes, they decided not to fight against Kaido, instead fight against Big Mom, since Luffy had already waged a war against Big Mom pirates, and this time Law was going to support them as well because he saw that the power level of Binsmoke Sanji was similar to that of his, and he was nowhere near to fight against a character like Emperor. So he decided to help Luffy, since Luffy crew this helped him take down Doflamingo despite the odds, like they had to fight against two admirals. If Fujitora had not backed down, that would have been devastating for them. So he decided to help Straw Hats, and he did get the crew from his crew from Joe Island, and after that they waged a war against Big Mom pirates, and that war was going to be devastating. Like the entire whole Cake Island was the battlefield between Big Mom pirates and the alliance of Hot Pirate and Straw Hat pirates. Although alliance being said, they were more of a subordinate to Straw Hat pirates, since their power level was too weak compared to Straw Hat pirates. And so the battle started. Obviously Katakuri was still injured, but he could still fight. So in this battle, Sanji decided to fight against Katakuri simply because Sanji had upper leg in observation haki than that of Zoro, but he did not have powerful armament haki like Zoro. So he wanted to use this battle to improve his armament haki. He already had future sight, and that kept him in the same level that of Katakuri, but his offense was not strong, though his speed was enough to dodge most of Katakuri's attack. So the battle went on, and Zoro decided to destroy some of other sweet commanders, while Luffy finally fought against Big Mom. The class of Conqueror's coating was devastating. Their attacks did not even touch each other, but the Conqueror collision was simply destroying everything around it. And seeing that, Big Mom acknowledged Luffy as her equal, and the fight between Luffy and Big Mom started. This fight was going to be epic, as Big Mom started using her homage to attack him with lightning and flames, while Luffy started using his most powerful attacks, light based attacks, coated with armament and Conqueror's haki, and started attacking Big Mom's homage with all of his strength. As the battle began to grow stronger and more devastating, the time started passing. 3 days later, both were heavily panting, but still in the condition to continue fighting. So they continue fighting, and this time they were not going that easy on each other. Both of them started using their awakening. Big Mom used her awakening as even turning her own body into homage with her soul power, while Luffy used light domain. This was his awakened power, and he had mastered it quite well during the year he spent with Rayleigh. and this mastery allow him to control all light particles around him and turn them into different light construct that could cause devastating attacks. Mostly he used them to create giant swords and giant whips of light. Of course, he also could use his light based power to heal himself now. Light was quite powerful and destructive, but it also had the healing factor. At least that was the ability that he got after awakening his light powers. And the battle continued, awakening versus awakening. Luffy was using light sword, light constructs, while Big Mom was using homage of lightning and flames and even sword. Their attack clashed each other and was on the verge of destroying the entire whole cake island until Luffy decided to end this once and for all. He looked at his crew who had already dealt with Big Mom pirates, and they were also waiting for Luffy to finish it. Although this move would consume all of his strength, he was not going to back down that easily. His haki started soaring. It was getting stronger by every second, and using all of his armament haki, Conqueror's haki, he coated his palm, and this palm had all of his power stored in it, but it was not enough. He raised his hand and light started appearing on his palm, and the entire light domain was condensing into a single ball of light. Yes, this was the same attack that he used against Sengoku, except maybe 10 or even 100 times stronger. And so he was going to use this attack against Big Mom, and he compressed all of the light domain into a small ball, covered it with his armament and Conqueror's haki, and after that he rushed toward Big Mom with all of his strength. And Big Mom also used her mother misery as she prepared her strongest attack, and both collided. Their power was so high that it shook the entire island, and the next second an explosion glowed. Like the flames of that explosion spread hundreds of meters around the surface of the whole cake island, and Luffy used remaining of his strength to transform into light and get out of this explosion as quickly as possible. But just after he got out of the explosion, he realized that his body had lost all of his strength and he fell on the ground. But thankfully his crew was nearby, as they quickly caught him and took him out of the range of the explosion, while Big Mom was still inside the explosion. The Big Mom pirates did not knew about the life and death of Big Mom, and they could not go inside the explosion as well. Luffy and his crews told him that they got the treasure and rubbings of the red poneglyph. Now they can leave, and Luffy immediately agreed. He was not a kind of person who would chase a person out of their own home. This whole cake island was the creation of Big Mom. She created this by her own family, so Luffy was not going to chase her out of this place. He was just going there to defeat her and show her that the Fishman Island was under her, and if she dared to attack it, she would face his fury. And he did that. He defeated Big Mom by himself, and his crew defeated Big Mom pirates with the help of Hot Pirate as well. And now they finally had a chance to leave this place, and their next opponent was none other than Kaido. But before they could go to Kaido, after a week of rest, Luffy asked Nami, can we land on a simple island, empty island, where I have something that I wanted to try for quite a while. And Nami agreed, and they go to an empty island where Luffy decided to face Joro, Sanji, and Law and Jinbei by himself using his new creation that he got the idea and the power during his battle with Big Mom. Remember, he is a light man. He could create the construction of light, but it didn't mean he could create random things out of light. He still needed to make the construct a little bit logical. Like he could not create an armor or make with his light power, but at least that's what he thought before facing Big Mom. Because after he faced Big Mom, he realized that his domain, his awakening, could allow him to create any kind of construct that he wanted, any, like literally any kind of construct that he wanted. And he did create a massive giant mecha as he covered the entire light construct with armament haki, and he started fighting them. He did not use Conqueror's coating as it would not be fair to others. So, using his light based construct, he started fighting against four of the strongest pirate under him. And the battle went on for like a day, and they were not fighting for life and death, so they stopped before anyone could be seriously injured. But this also goes to show that Luffy was able to use that light construct, covering it with armament haki for an entire day. And this was a big achievement thanks to the improvement of armament haki in the battle with Big Mom. So after this, he was quite ready to face Kaido, and his goal was to not only defeat Kaido but also chase him out of Wano Kuni. Of course, that is not his dream right now. That would be his was not his goal right now. That would be his goal after he sees the condition of Wano. And without further ado, let's continue this as he goes to Wano, and everything happened the way it should have happened. Like he got separated from his crew, and he started roaming around, and he found a girl who seemed quite hungry, but he still treated him with some rice because he saved her. And after that, he realized how harsh the life of Wano Kuni people were. So he decided to not only defeat Kaido but also chase him out of the Wano Kuni. And this was his goal right now. After he gathered with his crew, they decided to fully face Kaido and chase him out of this place as well. And just when they were going to fight Kaido, they got spotted by a strange looking person with mask. Not like this person had a figure of a girl, but she introduces herself as a man, and it was quite confusing to Luffy. So he didn't care much until she revealed that she knew about his brother, and they became good friend during the time they knew about each other. And this got Luffy's interest, and they also started talking to each other about Ace, and they became friends quite quickly. And after learning that she was Kaido's son, or rather daughter, but she wanted to chase Kaido out of this, but because her power was not enough, and she also had handcuffs around her hands, she was not able to fight Kaido on equal ground. So after knowing that, Luffy simply took out those handcuffs, and they did explode, which enraged Yamato for a moment, and they decided to face off against Kaido and his beast pirate. And the battle started on Onigashima as usual, but this battle was not during night time. Yes, this was during daytime, and almost every one of Wano country, every people living in Wano country could see it. So the battle started with Luffy taking on against Kaido, Zoro taking on against King, Sanji taking on against Queen, Law taking on Law taking on against Jack, and his other crew member taking on against the entirety of Beast Pirate. They were not afraid. The number of Beast Pirate was high, like literally high, but they were not afraid at all. And the battle finally started, and this is where I am going to stop this video, because I want to talk about the battle between Straw Pirates and Kaido in the next video, because it is going to be interesting, and probably the next video will be the last video of this series, because I'm not so sure how the other battle would be, but I will try to make it as better as I can. So let's hope we can conclude this entire series in the next video, and thank you for watching.